Hey there, everybody. Back to Faces of the Forgotten. Today we are in, changing it up a little bit. We're in a very small town in far northern Wisconsin called Butternut. And we're at the Cecelia Cemetery. And we're looking for a gentleman named Charles Fischer, Midget Fischer, who was a famous wrestler and character in the early part of the last century. We're in. Okay, we found it. Charles B. Fischer. Father. 1898 and died in 1982. He lived a long life. And Charles, they called him Midget Fischer, and he was, of course, born up here in this small town of Butternut, working in the lumber camps as a young man. Quite an interesting life. Charles, the midget, was this muscle-bound, they called him this midget Samson, and he's probably one of the strongest men pound for pound who ever lived. And when he was 24, he left this area working for the logging camps, which was the big thing up here at the time. Everybody was doing that. And he went to find his fame and fortune in Chicago, and he certainly did. He went to work for a guy named Fund. They wore these, they worked for this guy, and they wore these leather cloaks, or these leather harnesses over their shoulders and down their arms, and it took a lot of arm strength and finger strength to carry these, and he was the strongest. Actually, one of his workmates was a famous guy, Red Grange, University of Illinois football phenom. Yeah, I did a little bit of research on Charles the Midget Fischer, and family members tell me, the descendants, that he owned a lake called Bear Lake, and he would have three people. His workout was three people would get in a boat, and they would harness him to the front of the boat, and he would swim laps around Bear Lake. Not just a lap, or just not a little ways. He would swim laps, dragging a boat of three people. I mean, that's a kind of reminiscent in a way of Walter Payton, the famous Chicago Bear football player, and his workout training. He would do something, these novelty, innovative approaches, run up these steep hills, these straight up and down. But so actually his boss made a bet with with somebody, that big money bet, that Midget Charles, could carry a 400-pound keg up 3 floors. I mean, that doesn't seem humanly possible, but he did it, and he won the bet. Can you imagine 400 pounds up 3 floors, going up the stairs, probably very tight, steep stairs. So he went on to Chicago, and he ended up winning the lightweight and middleweight titles. I think he took second for Olympic qualifiers. I don't know much about the Olympic record, but Charles, boy, he was quite a guy. Rest in peace, Charles. Making a second stop here in Butternut to the other cemetery. I think this is the original cemetery, called the Union Cemetery here in Butternut. Ooh, let's look both ways. Very good. Onward. We are far northern Wisconsin in Ashland County. This is just south of Lake Superior. And we're turning in. Yep, this is it. Union Cemetery. We're in. This is Samantha Marie Sadler. She was born August 12, 2003 and died June 17th, 2006. Samantha was only 3 years old. Resting in the arms of Jesus. So sad. Straighten this out. Pritzl, Edwin J. and Eunice. Married June 20th, 1959. That was the year that, that was a good year. That was the year I was born. And they were 2 months, married 2 months, and I was born. Pritzl. Stanley Edwin Pollitt, PFC U.S. Army. He died in 17, born in 38. There's a lot of activity here. Of course, a lot of these graves are more recent. You know, it just confirms that you get a couple of generations of activity, and then people become forgotten. I mean, I look at my great-grandparents. When's the last time, if I've ever seen their grave? Digger, Darlene Logan. Darlene was born in 1935 and she died 6 years ago in 2014 in June. And Floyd was in Korea, fought in Korea. Thank you for your service, Floyd. He died in 2010. I had 4 years before Darleanne, I'm sorry. I can hear the bells. Looking over here, there appears to be, yeah, it looks like a, somebody is going to be buried here, probably within the next, you know what, this is, I was in town, I know who this is for, this is crazy, coincidence, it has to be for, I think his name was Dylan. This is probably for Dylan. You know, I've never seen, well, how deep they go. This is about 8 feet. I was at the feed store in Butternut. I have a cabin up here not too far away, 15 miles away, and I just love this little town. Anyway, they were telling me that, I was mentioning that I was going to, what I'm doing, and they said that they had lost somebody 2 days ago, or this week, a young man who was a police officer, a sheriff here, Dylan Wegner, I think his name was, and he sadly was killed riding a UTV. They had a wipeout, hit a ditch. The driver had seatbelts on, and Dylan unfortunately did not, and was thrown, hit a tree. And they said the funeral's tomorrow, so this you can expect that this place will be a whole different picture tomorrow. It'll be flooded with hundreds of people paying respects. Everybody knew him. He was a great guy. Dylan, this is where you'll be. I'm so sad. Very sad story. Kevin Fleischfresser, you are not forgotten, loved one. Kevin died in '98. You are with the wind and you are everywhere. Kevin loved his motorcycle. Here are some very, very old graves. This is like a separate little plot here. Brinkow. I can't see any dates. There's the father. Someone had put a cross here. Died in 1923. This is the grave of John Paul Shenborn. John only lived to be 11 years old, and he is asleep in Jesus. Well, I guess we have to have our wildlife moment on the channel. I was walking along and almost walked straight into this floating dragonfly. I don't know if you'll be able to perceive this, but that dragonfly is in a spider web that is floating in mid-space and connected to the tree, the ground, and maybe that. Yeah, I mean, this spider web is massive. I almost walked right through it. This is the grave of Robert, son of B, L, and M.B. Smart. 1916 to 1916. With a heart. Why is it that all the babies' tombstones are tiny? I know the coffins are tiny. Maybe the tombstones need to be tiny. Why is that? This is the grave of Louis Stolt. He was born in 1853 and died in 1909. And I'm guessing Louis was probably one of the pioneers for Butternut, the small town here. You know, I can't think of a more beautiful place, quiet place than the deep in the north woods of Wisconsin. It is just so picturesque here among the pine trees. Very, very peaceful. Julius Carl Albert Tollers. He was born in 1881 and died in 1920. So another one of the probable pioneers of Butternut. This looks to be German, and I'm partly German. I'm partly German, and I can't translate it. Terrible. There's a big iron cross here. Interesting sculpture. I don't know. I have to go back and translate that. This is William Bill Benz. And he was born in 1904, died in 1953. Here is a very, very old tombstone, the limestone. And this one is in really good shape, given the, we've talked about this before, I call them salt blocks. They kind of melt with the, you know, in these climates. This is Rosalina Wolf. She was born in 1869 in December and died, I think that's March, 1890, 21 years old. She died young, way back. So another pioneer of butternut. It looks something got looks to be German. I think there's a greater part of the population here is German. You know, I look at this tombstone and I look at the name, and so long ago, Rosalina Wolf, and you can't Google, I suppose you could look up the records, but you can't, there's no memorandum of what her life was, how she died, 21 years old. She was up here 1879, she was 10 years old. Just try to imagine, what was she doing here in the North Woods in 1879 as a 10-year-old? There was nothing here. I mean, this is not long after the Native American, the wars, and all. They were total pioneers. She probably had a fabulous life. But you wonder day to day, what was she doing? What was she experiencing? We'll never know. It'll be a mystery. It'll be a mystery to eternity. Okay, gang, I think I'm going to call it a day here, ending with Rosalina. It's really a poetic spot, a poignant moment, it seems, and I'm going to say farewell to Union Cemetery in Butternut. Have a great day.